Hello friends, welcome you all to yet another interesting video. I am Sundar from Canary Capital Solutions. So the biggest question for all of us today's situation is, why is the market going up? So even in the last economic update we saw that markets did not fall much. In fact, that was the time when the COVID numbers were actually going up. Of course, today we are in a situation where things are much better. But the markets, even though during the panic time, did not fall much, and that's the biggest question in all investors' mind. So let's try and see some hard data to understand why markets are actually behaving this way. So I have shown you a data which I'm sure everyone have seen, but I just want to bring a little perspective on the same data. So the vaccination, which was actually missing in the first wave, today during the second wave, we have this vaccination already in place. And as we speak, about 38 crore Indians have got at least first dose of vaccination done. And in the next couple of months, there are new vaccines which are likely to hit the market, and also the production of vaccines have actually increased, and the supply is also likely to improve further in the next coming months. Currently, if you look at on an average, we are doing about 40 lakh vaccinations per day, which means even at the same pace, in a month we will be doing about 12 crore vaccinations. Assuming the vaccinations increase, that means the number per month of 12 crore can actually increase to a 15 crore or a 20 crore, which means over the next 3 months, meaning by end of October, we should have actually had a vaccination drive of at least about 75 to 80 crore Indians, which is like a tremendous achievement, which means majority of the population would have got at least one dose of vaccination. So that's the biggest good news for all of us as we speak today. Another important news which we normally track very closely is the monsoon, but because of COVID, everything has taken a backseat and we are not tracking monsoon. Good thing as we speak today is the IMD has actually predicted a very normal monsoon, and there was a little bit of delay in between, but as we speak already the entire part of the country has already started receiving good amount of rainfall, which is a very good news for the economy. How is the economy recovering after the second wave of COVID? So this is the business resumption index by Nomura, which we've been tracking for a very long period of time. So during the first wave, which is March-April of 2020, the economic activity actually plunged to less than 40%. The second wave was actually more severe than the first wave, which we all know, but in spite of that, the business resumption index actually fell, but it fell only at about 70 or so. This is because, one, we did not have a countrywide lockdown, and some part of the economy was always working. So sometimes Delhi was under lockdown, Chennai was working, and when Chennai was under lockdown, maybe Delhi was working, and vice versa. So which made sure that broadly some of the businesses were actually able to continue, and the economy also had a little bit of good going. The next data is the GST collection data, which comes month on month. This again proves what point which I told earlier. During the first wave of COVID, when we were under full lockdown, the GST collections actually was less than 40,000 crore a month. And if you look at the second wave, peak of the second wave, the numbers were at about 92,000 crores, which means broadly most of the businesses were actually able to run, even though with some little disruption here and there. But broadly, most of the businesses were actually able to run. So now the question is, why is the market going up? So this is the most important data which I want you to actually show a little bit of attention here. Of the top 500 companies of India, which is the NSE 500, if you look at the quarterly profits during June 2020 was actually the combined profits of all companies put together was about 32,000 and odd crores. From there, in a year's time, the profits have actually jumped to about 2,10,000 crores, which is like one of the highest quarterly profits given by the Indian companies. So that is why if you annualize these numbers, the number actually runs into about 8 lakh crore per year, which is like one of the highest ever in the recent history. So that means the companies are actually making money in spite of all the disruptions. That means what is actually leading these companies to make profits? The answer is very simple. This I have explained even in the previous videos. So during the time of crisis is when everyone comes together and tries to find out a way to make sure we are out of the problem. So this is common, right? So even when the COVID hit, the central bankers came all together, the government came together and things like that, where they actually gave a lot of incentive for the businesses to come back. One of the biggest incentive was that the cost of money was reduced, which means the interest rates for borrowing was reduced, which in turn led to many people's profit margin increasing. And also another important thing which is happening is the business overall is actually moving from the unorganized to the organized, which means some of the competition is actually falling down and that business is actually going to the bigger ones or the more organized ones. And even the help whatever was offered by the government, it all went only to the organized players, because the unorganized players never maintained their book of accounts where they can actually go and reach out to a banking or a financial institution to get loan. So this actually made the divide bigger, whereby the organized players have actually started growing much more than the COVID levels itself. Another important thing is, with all this COVID coming down, some of the business and some of the countries have decided to have a second line of defense for their supply chain away from China, which means some of the businesses are actually started moving out, whereby some businesses are also coming into India. That is also leading into a lot of incremental business for some of the existing businesses, which in turn is getting into profits. So market always likes profits, and if profits are delivered, there is no looking back for the market, and market will continue to rally. Of course, market will always be volatile in the short run, but as Bill Gates always says, humans always overestimate what can happen over the next 2 years and underestimate what can happen over the next 10 years. In fact, some of our experts and some of the biggest investors of India are looking at the India's growth to be one of the best in the coming decade. So which means, believe in India, companies are making profits, so markets are likely to do well. So always take a professional help so that you can actually sail through these kind of troubles and make the most of the Indian economy. Hope you enjoyed this video with whatever data I could give you. The next topic what we are going to see is EMI. So we all know what is EMI, but how it is misinterpreted is what we are going to see in the next video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Canary Capital Solutions, and please press the bell notification icon. Thank you for watching.